Hi, everybody.
Hi,
This is Reverend Catie and Darrah,
and I'm Darrah Bryans, the ministerial intern.
and we are the ministers serving First Parish in Needham, Unitarian Universalist. Welcome back to our monthly couch conversations. Our theme of the month for October of 2022 is Beloved Community.
Community. Yay.
And so we are weaving that into our worship services, some of our continuing education, our programming for our young children, and our small group ministry. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is Beloved Community from a timely angle for our congregation, because actually we are facing at First Parish a number of hospitalizations, folks who are moving on to hospice care, the end of hospice care, I guess I should specify, and who have died just in the month of October as of the day of filming. And we recognize that it is very challenging to be in community. I guess that's what we're talking about. It's challenging being in community when you're losing loved ones, and also extremely challenging when you lose loved ones, but there's not a community to support you.
Yeah. Having a community to support us and hold us when we're feeling lost and broken can make all the difference.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, and I guess one of the things we were going to talk about is, Darrah, how is it for you as a newcomer into the congregation, observing this, and being part of this time?
Yeah. So, Reverend Catie and I have talked about this before, that being new, I don't know these people who are sick or who have died, and I am getting to know many of you, and I see the grief that you all are carrying. So I have secondary grief. It's not that primary grief that this congregation is holding. And I feel like that can be maybe a gift to the congregation, in that, not being a grieving person, I can be a resource for you all as you go through the grieving process. And it's a detraction as well. I don't get to know these people, and I feel that loss.
Yeah, and that is actually a very interesting part of a secondary grief experience, is that you hear from folks who have that primary connection with a loved one who is dying or has died, and there is this a missed opportunity that you realize, like, oh, if I had been at the congregation just a few months earlier, I may have met these folks and developed a relationship with them, and at the same time, then you would be grieving very deeply with us.
Grieving.
No.
Yeah.
So it's one of the things we wanted to lift up today was that joining into a congregational community means that you're going to be interacting with folks who, in your day-to-day life, you might not ordinarily meet. It's one of our few spaces left in our nation where there are multi-generational connections made outside of family. And by being in a larger community, knowing more people means that there are more opportunities to know someone who has a serious illness or who has died, which full of grief.
Yeah. And the beauty of the community is that we do know people from birth up into their 90s, and it's a gift to have that richness of experience and the diversity of age. But it does mean we open ourselves up to the possibility of grief. But being open to the possibility of grief, for me, is often tempered by the gift of having known that person.
But it's not, even though every person does die, we all know that. That's the end.
Out of this life.
That is the end of the journey for each of us. Even though death is inevitable, it is still worthwhile to make these kind of connections. It seems silly to say that out loud. It seems like obvious, but there is the temptation when you're in the midst of grief to retract from community, because it is so very painful. But the community, especially a congregational community, and First Parish does this in a very beautiful way. Being part of a community also means that you have opportunities and resources there for support when something difficult is happening. We were talking about how in our world, which is not perfect, there's systemic evil that we try to curb or correct through social environmental justice work. there's also what the old philosophers would call natural evil, which are natural disasters or disease that we don't necessarily as humanity have a lot of control over.
Right.
Might have some, but not entire control over those sorts of things.
I think COVID has shown us that in a very big way.
We don't have control.
No.
And so we might, when someone has died from a disease, that is going to happen to all of us, that we will know people who die. If you're in a community, then you have a network of folks who can hold you, both emotionally and physically, when you're in grief, because we can't prevent all disease, we can't prevent all death.
No. And on that point, the beauty of church communities is that we do have groups that provide, we hold each other physically as well as emotionally and spiritually. So we have the caring ministries.
She's new.
I'm new. I don't know all your lingo, but my point is that there are meals and there are rides and there are people who will visit and hold you in that sort of physical space. And then for spiritual, there's the Lay Pastoral Care Committee. Is that correct?
The Lay Pastoral Care team and the group you're talking about is a caring crew.
Thank you.
So connected groups, but folks who will offer spiritual and emotional support, and folks who will offer rides and meals, including after a surgery, after someone has died, and you just need some space in your grief.
Or for joyful things, you've just had a child.
Yes.
And you need a little assistance with
would
meals.
You like a casserole? Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
the answer is always yes, I would.
Yes. No. And so there are those, and also, we're also here. And so in addition to our Lay Pastoral Care team, there's also the ministers of the congregation.
Pastoral Care team.
Your ministerial pastoral care team.
Exactly.
And as well, our other staff members are also here to listen. And so I'm trying to think. And our pastoral care team, a couple of those members lead a grief and loss support group. So we have that support group. We have a caregiver support group for folks who are caring for people who are experiencing chronic illness or other issues. And we have it's sort of quietly run, but we do have a cancer support group of folks who are in cancer care or have survived cancer care. So these are all these opportunities that may exist in other spaces outside of congregational community, but this is specifically at our congregation at First Parish. There are all these resources for folks to process grief and to be on the journey of grief. The journey of grief can't be skipped.
No.
You have to journey it, but
you have to go through it. Yeah.
But you don't have to go through it alone, and that's
the joy of community.
Yes. And that's a key component of beloved community. I know you'll be preaching on this, that even in the conception from Dr. King, who popularized the term beloved community from his theological studies, he didn't think that meant that everything was just a utopia, that everything would just be fine. He knew that in human community, there would be evil that seeped in, there would be disease, there would be breaches of covenant, and relationships that had difficulties and also such as violations. And so, in his conception, part of beloved community is being able to support each other on those hard parts, those challenging parts of life's journey. Church is a place where that can happen.
It's absolutely bound up in the idea that we get through this life together, that we are interdependent and we need each other, and the beloved community is the vision of how we are in relationship together. And I'm going to say, as a somewhat outsider coming in, First Parish does an amazing job of holding each other and helping each other through both joyful and challenging times. You guys have so much available.
Thank you. And we do hope that in congregational community, it is the phrase that any joy shared is then doubled, and any sorrow shared is then halved, because the burden is spread out. It makes it easier to make that grief journey. And it's always, when we're talking about a happy time, a birth of a new child, a new marriage, things like those special rites of passage, it's such a joy to know that other people are happy for you too. and
Yeah.
helping you get settled into your new phase of your life's journey. And so I guess that we're curious for all of you who are watching, whether you're part of First Parish or you just are finding us on YouTube or on Facebook, to ask you, how do you cope when parts of your life's journey are challenging? Like, do you use the resources of a congregational community? Are you part of First Parish and know that you can access the lay pastoral care team, the caring crew, the ministers, the support groups? And do you have any suggestions for us of like, these are other places where folks can get support? These are books that were very meaningful for me. Anything like that, you can put into the comments wherever you're watching this, or you can send us an email with your thoughts. Both of our email addresses are on our website, uuneedham.org. And we would love to hear from you and to offer you support if you're going through a challenging time in your life right now.
We do. Please reach out.
Yeah. We hope that we'll hear from you soon, and we'll see you again next month.
Bye.
Bye now.